Vibration. And today is week 2 of interviewing our authors from the Raise Vibration, a weekly guidebook. And I am with Lori Drayson over Zoom right now. And those who are on Instagram or Facebook, you can't see her right now, but I'll be sure to put her picture so you can see her beautiful face. But she's going to be talking to us today about her story and her contribution to this book of 52 chapters. So I'm so glad you're able to join us today, all of you who are watching. And I just want to introduce Lori Drayson. Welcome, girl.
Good morning,
Good
blessed,
morning.
beautiful beings.
So Lori and I we go back, and she even goes back further with my husband, Anthony. They knew each other before I knew Lori, and Lori ended up officiating our wedding in Colorado almost 15 years ago. It's going to be 15 years in September, and then she also officiated another one in New York City because we had to do it in New York as well. So she is very near and dear to my heart. She's a brilliant soul, a seeker, a lifelong seeker, always hungry for new information and new ways to expand her consciousness and just alchemize everything in her life. You've overcome so much, Lori, since I've just known you, and face things every single day like any other human. But why did you, and just starting this off, like, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I want to jump to the question of why you chose this story because it's a phenomenal story, and I'm not going to give too much away because you have to get the book and read her story. It's too good. The topic is called Healing the Victim, and her story is called From Victim to Warrior, and that's really what you are. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, more so just at the beginning of our talk today, just to give the readers, the authors, the people in the audience an idea of who you are?
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. I'm a conscious creator. I am a fractal of source energy, love, and light, and just doing a dance on this great planet that we live on, witnessing this great transformation that's happening here and now. And I've played many, many roles in my life.
Yeah.
And remembering who I am, really remembering who I am is so important.
I love that. I love that because so many times when we go through life, we think we got to get somewhere or get better or change something or fix something that's broken. But I love it's just remembering what's underneath and shedding all of the false insecurities or the false identities.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so good to have you. And where are you coming from? Tell us where you're living.
So I live now in the Pacific Northwest. I'm in Rainier, Washington, not far from Mount Rainier.
Beautiful.
And it is glorious and gorgeous here. Things are blooming. It's springtime, and I am a transport from New York City.
That's where we met. How long did you live in New York?
Most of my life. I
And
lived most of my life in New York, and
where were you born?
I was born in New York. I was born in Manhattan, and I heeded the calling to go to the mountains, get out of the city, and be a sovereign being.
Beautiful. A true native New Yorker who had the courage to listen to that call. That's beautiful. And I know you have spent time as a healer, a massage therapist, and a teacher, a lot of different things as interfaith minister as well. Lori attended the same seminary that Anthony and I, that's how we found out about One Spirit, was through Lori, through preparing for our wedding. The One Spirit Interfaith Seminary, where it's a 2-year program where you study all the world religions and learn how to be a source of intercessing between people of different faiths, cultures, or backgrounds, and spiritual counseling, etc. So tell us now what more you're involved with in your work, in your creative work, your creativity now in Washington.
I'm still doing my work. Every day, I just ask to be of the highest healing service to all whose lives I touch this day. And just being, really being. So I feel there's no coincidences, no accidents. The people that seem to come to my, whether it be my table for a massage or crystals or a sound vibrational healing therapy or just in daily chatting. It's just
Yeah.
being present and being okay with being me and being present and being my authentic self. It's the best thing.
Yeah, so liberating. So liberating. All right, so I
Yeah.
have to ask you because you've lived a beautiful life to this point. You have been hungry for growth. You've overcome so much. And I mean, there is no wise person living on this earth has not been through challenges. And this book is all about resilience. It's all about stories that are focusing on what you've overcome already and the lessons that you learn from them. And in March 2020, when everything started locking down, that's the one thing that I heard was get them to focus on their resilience. Like, how can I help get them to focus on their resilience? And that's how the book started. And reached out to several of my loved ones, and there ended up being 52 authors in this book. So it became a weekly guide and just kind of wrote itself in that way. But Lori's story is so beautiful about overcoming something so challenging. Why did you write that story, Lori, with all the other stories? I mean, I know how pivotal that story was, or it seems, in your life. Why did you choose that one in particular to express to our readers that lesson of overcoming the victim and stepping into the warrior?
Well, the realization, the role that I was playing, the choices that I made that led me to that experience. I am a perennial optimist, so I look for the pearl in every situation.
Mm.
But at that time in my life, I didn't have that consciousness.
Even though you're surrounded by gems, pardon the pun,
I
right?
know, but
She's
we
a
get very
gemologist for those of you who haven't read the story yet.
we get very into the role, that we create. But it's owning it that's important. And at that particular story, it was a turning point because I was not fully owning my creation.
Mm.
And I was absolutely playing the part of the victim. And it was through that hardship that I had to pull up my life force and pull up and own that this is my story and I'm not going to be a victim anymore. This is done. We're done with this. My past is complete. But to
Mm-hmm.
get to that place, I had to go through. Just we all have experiences that we need to go through. Um, but I believe the attitude in which we go through them, are we reacting? Are we responding? Are we taking ownership? And are we going to create a new story? So it was really a revelation when I sort of surrendered the suffering and just asked for the universal forces to assist me, in this situation. And it was like dominoes. Everything fell into a beautiful place. I learned
Mm-hmm.
such a great deal and wanted to be able to pass that on to others. Like, you're the creator of your reality.
Yeah.
Consciousness and energy is the nature of reality. And so um, it's very exciting when you empower yourself that way and you take back your power instead of leaving it to other forces.
Yeah. Or wasting it on blame or, thinking you're
Blame,
absolutely never
shame,
planned.
it's because of
Yeah.
him, because of her, because of them.
Right. Right.
But no, I created that to own it, whether from wherever it came from.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to go through that experience. And I gave deep apology to all the to all the actors and actresses that were playing in that little theater. I
Yeah.
really did a deep apology, whatever it might have been that I have had. I'm going through this experience. I apologize to each and every being. When I was in court,
Mhm.
and it was a trial by jury. It was unheard of. It was crazy, and yet um, I came out such a victor.
Yeah.
And it was on faith. Really, it was on faith and trust, and
That's what I
being
was
and
so
being
blown away
honest, being
by.
true.
Yeah,
Pardon?
that's what I was so inspired by your story was it's a story of a loss of a marriage, of a dissolving of a relationship, and then having to face such intense difficulty, and going through legal battle of just being able to survive, and it kind of rocking you down to that root chakra, all about survival, you know? And what really was so beautiful is that you allowed yourself to keep trusting, keep going with it, keep flowing with it, keep your faith in the place that this would work out. And you had quite a very direct conversation with God, source, universe, energy, saying, "Hey, I need this. It's time." And it was delivered, and it was beautiful. And it really, I mean, this story, it seems like for your life, and you can shed way more light on it than I can, obviously, is it almost opened some door, like opened the doors for you to step into just this magic of reality of being human, that you don't need to suffer through life, you don't need to sacrifice this beautiful gift of free will and life, just because you feel like you need to blame others. It's such a small existence. So this story, and I kind of intuit why you picked it, because it feels like the birthing, rebirthing of really what this life is for you, what it could be. And then since then, which is how long ago was this that took place?
Ooh,
A while,
ooh, a
many moons,
long time.
right? Many moons ago. So
Ma-
now, like ever since then, looking back, that has been the start of this beautiful unfolding.
Kickstart of evolution, human revolution, human evolution, and
Yeah,
recognizing all the angels,
listening.
recognizing
Yeah, yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think it was also, I was so inspired to connect the second chakra with it in particular. Each story is connected with a chakra through the book, and for some reason it kept pulling on the second chakra, even though it could be like intuition or guidance, it could be a lot of different things, or even root, right? But it was so inspirational about you taking care of even your child inside of you, and your biological child, to trust and allow and keep going with that flow, and looking back and seeing that life could be so playful and creative if you just dropped the blame game and the victim archetype as your identity.
Be the warrior.
Yeah, I mean, is that like, that's kind of one of my next questions for you, is what do you want the reader to take away? Because I know we're giving a little bit away about the story, but it's so beautiful. What is the main message of this story? Because people are struggling worse than ever now, and we're playing the blame game on a global scale now more than we ever have. And the finger pointing is perpetuating that victim, so much so that it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And when something is bigger and bigger and bigger, it's going to surface, and we're going to have to deal with it, and then it passes, right? So the problem always gets really intense, the breakdown before the breakthrough, so to speak. So, right? So with somebody reading your story and also feeling this collective victimization that's kind of become an identity for a lot of people, disguised as empowerment, what's the main message that you want the reader to take away from your personal story in this current reality?
I really would like the reader to be encouraged and to be inspired, to not give up,
Not
never
give
give
up.
up, to self-empower, and to
Mm.
stand in your truth, come from your heart,
Yeah.
and really to follow that heart space, to remember who you are, to just not forget the powerful being that you are, and that you do create your own reality.
Mm.
So when you hear other people's stories, that they've come through, they've had the breakdown, they had the breakthrough, you can do it. You can do it,
Yeah.
no matter how scary it may seem, or how rough it may seem, or how like, will I ever get over this? Will I ever get through this? My dad's words to me were always, Lori, this too shall pass. It always does. It always will. And it is the truth. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I've been a truth seeker my entire life, and I know it to be so.
Yeah.
So to just, if people can just take a look at their circumstances, there's a pearl in everything. There's a pearl in every single situation, every being that you meet, even if it's rubbing against one another, it's a pearl. There's a pearl there. Can you find the pearl? So,
Yeah.
for people to hear my story and I found the pearl, I'm living the pearl.
Yeah, you are.
And it's constant. I mean, it's ongoing. It doesn't stop. But boy, does it get lighter and brighter. And as you
Hmm.
said, more playful.
Hmm.
You
That's, I
know,
mean,
we're
knowing you
doing a
personally.
dance here. We're
Yeah,
doing a
that's
dance on
right.
this, you
And
know.
we get to creatively play. And I mean, you are like family to Anthony and I. And just knowing you, you are so fun. You're so playful. I wish you could meet her someday in person, you all who are watching, because read her story, get in touch with her somehow, follow her, because she is so. You're found the inner child, and she is dancing with you through this life. And I think that that's one of the greatest gifts of giving up the victim archetype, that really is very much found in that second chakra a lot of the times, because of that being childish versus allowing the inner child to guide or hold your hand or co-create with you. And she's super playful. So yeah, that's who you are for us. We have so much fun when we get together with her.
Can't
Uh,
wait till the next time.
this summer, maybe, yeah.
I hope so.
So, and it's, I mean, this is truly this message of not giving up. And I love, I mean, the gemologist, the gem references you're going to get when you read this story. Um, but like, I can't help bring the metaphor of the diamond, and that the diamond forms under pressure, and that, whatever the value is, it's being able to stick with it. Like, I think it's the Japanese proverb that says, fall down 7 times, get a bait. It's like, keep going. It's that simple. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So that's beautiful. Thank you so much for that. And I want to ask, the last question I have for you, Lori, is on a personal note. What did you get out of this story? What did you get out of writing it? That process of taking your experience and putting it into words and sharing it.
Well, it reminded me of my evolution. It really showed me where I was, where I am now, and how blessed I am. And my willingness, I have to say, my willingness to surrender it up,
Yeah.
to stand in my highest self, to stand in my highest light, and to be present for a glorious victory.
Mm, mm. That's beautiful. We're so well practiced on the unworthiness quotient, or the victim, or the struggle. And we're just under practiced with what you just mentioned: allowance, surrender, believing in your own worth, never forgetting about the gift that life is, and how powerful we are as creators.
And we are, and it was absolute remembrance of how we consciously create our reality.
Yeah, at the end of the book, there are some pages for the reader to write their own story. It's
Oh,
actually
how exciting.
right,
I can't
right.
wait to see
Not
it.
my idea, but brilliant idea,
It
right?
is a brilliant
That's
idea.
the next for you. Yeah, she's like, why don't we put some? And I'm like, that's a brilliant idea. Because when we write our story, that's the power of storytelling. I mean, storytelling's been around forever, since indigenous times, and it's so powerful because, as you mentioned, we're able to own our process and stand by ourselves and go, you know what, that was hard. And I did it. I kept going, and you didn't give up. You could have given up many times along that path and had
Well,
very
again, we
different
could stay the
people.
victim. We could stay the victim and we can wah, 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 same old
Stay
story.
the child, yep,
Broken record,
tantrum.
or just pick ourselves up, brush ourselves off, and keep on trucking, keep on moving.
Put on our
And
big
with
girl pants and
appreciation,
move
things
forward.
shift. The attitude of gratitude goes a very long way.
Yeah,
And I'm
absolutely.
grateful for all my experiences because they led me to who I am today.
You are. Yeah, that's so beautiful. It's the more that we talk about self-love and practicing self-love, 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 but it's like what really is that? It's falling in love with who you are, exactly the way you are, in the shadow, in the light, in the fullness of the dimensions, of all of the wait, what is it? Cut clarity. I'm trying to do another metaphor, but like all of the dimensions, all these little facets of who we are, and that's true self-love is falling in love with all those aspects and still staying hungry to growing and expanding. And I mean, your life's an example of that, so it's quite beautiful. And at this, it's not like perfection, not getting there or hoping to get there someday. It's falling in love with who you are, and then when you look at your past, you understand that every single, like the patchwork quilt, that's why I have this as my background.
I
All of
love it.
those, me too, thank you. All of those like seemingly odd and insignificant or ugly or beautiful pieces woven together to make who you are in your own uniqueness. And I feel so honored that you contributed to this book, Gloria. You mean so much
Well,
to Anthony and I.
I feel honored to have been asked to do that, and I love you guys so much.
Yeah, I love you too, girl. And I can't wait to see you. You all, thank you so much for watching. I can't wait for you to read her story. She's number 2. She's week 2 in spring. So we're week 2 in spring. The book is divided into 4 sections based on the seasons of the year, but you can go through it however you want. It's
I
very
know it's
fun,
gonna,
very creative, very childlike. Ah,
it will be awesome.
yeah, so excited. All right, thank you so much, Lori. Love you, girl. Thank you all for
Love
joining
you,
us
honey.
today.
Talk soon.
Okay.